From flying all the way from Brazil to Mexico to make ends meet, to falling short in his Dana White's Contender Series audition and losing his UFC debut, Diego Lopes has faced more hurdles than most to break into the UFC featherweight elite. But now that he's here, the rising prospect is determined to cross the finish line and claim his place at the top. Can anyone stop him? Let's take a look back at his incredible rise and find out. Born on December 30th, 1994 in Manaus, Amazonas, Brazil, Diego Lopes was destined for the fight game, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu running deep in his family's tradition. Lopes started competing at just 7 years old and earned his purple belt at 16, and by 19, he landed a job as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor in Mexico. Since then, Lopes has been fighting out of the country that took him in, and now he's on the verge of a UFC title shot. But the road to this point wasn't easy. Instead, it's been a journey full of challenges and setbacks. Lopes started his professional MMA career in 2012, and within a year, he already had 3 impressive wins, including a first-round submission against Luis Silva. With 3 straight wins to kick off his career, Lopes seemed destined for stardom, but a couple of heartbreaking setbacks slowed down his progress. Not only did Lopes refuse to back down, but he came roaring back with a scorching 9-fight win streak, finishing opponents left, right, and center with submissions.
Ainda tá se mantendo bem. Opa, tentou ir pra perna aí. Vamos ver.
Ali bateu!
As well as brutal ground and pound. With 12 wins in 14 fights, Lopes caught the eye of Absolute Championship in Berkut in Russia, where he faced Amir Elzarkayev in a bantamweight showdown. The fight was thrilling while it lasted, but in round 2, Lopes was sent to the shadows with brutal hammer fists. The road to redemption was anything but easy for Lopes, as he had to dig deep, returning to Mexico and racking up victories to get himself back on the prospect radar. Along the way, one of his toughest challenges came in the form of veteran Ronnie Jason, who tested Lopes' resolve like never before. The fight was mostly a striking battle for 3 intense rounds, but Lopes showcased his grappling by securing a takedown in each frame and keeping himself ahead on the scorecards. In the end, the Brazilian earned a crucial decision victory, adding another feather to his cap and inching closer to his ultimate goal. After another win under his belt, Lopes found himself facing UFC veteran Marco Beltran for the Lux Fight League featherweight title in Monterrey, Mexico. Lopes dominated the fight from the opening bell, coming forward with punches in bunches before securing a touchdown. Once on the mat, the Brazilian unleashed a steady stream of ground and pound to soften his foe up. Struggling to escape, Beltran made a fatal mistake when he left his heel exposed. Lopes seized the opportunity, locking it in and twisting it until Beltran had no choice but to tap.
Trap, misses on the elbow, but punishes with 2 straight rights. Wow! He's tight on the heel hook. He's got a little bit off, he's got a little bit of room. Oh, he's readjusted, it's over. Wow!
After claiming the Lux Fight League featherweight title and defending it once, Lopes had caught Dana White's attention. However, White still needed a bit more before making a decision, so he invited the Brazilian to audition for Dana White's Contender Series against Joe Anderson Brito. Knowing this was his shot at the big leagues, Lopes gave it everything he had. However, Brito was a step ahead throughout, and he won by a technical decision after Lopes couldn't continue due to a brutal eye poke.
A submission against a guy who is credentialed as Lopes, that's huge.
2 now, on the armbar end.
Yep.
After yet another crushing loss, Lopes returned to the lower leagues with renewed motivation to come back stronger. But the setbacks kept coming, as he dropped a split decision to Nate Richardson in a Fury FC featherweight title fight in his very next fight. The loss only added more hurdles to his path, but Lopes refused to back down, continuing to push forward and securing a couple of big wins to earn his ticket to the UFC. Lopes' debut was nothing short of a mountain to climb, as he was thrown into the fire against the undefeated Movsar Evloev, who tested every ounce of the Brazilian's grit. Despite stepping in on short notice, Lopes showed no fear in the opening exchanges, landing a series of stiff punches that briefly seemed to rattle the undefeated Evloev. But the Russian quickly took the fight to the ground, where he grinded Lopes down with his weight. In the second round, Evloev turned up the heat with takedowns and ground and pound. But Lopes bounced back in the third stanza with a knee bar that seemed locked in for a moment. Evloev somehow managed to weather the storm, clinching a decision victory. But Lopes' gritty performance earned him a rightful place among the UFC's rising stars. All Lopes now had to do was prove that he wasn't just there to survive, but to thrive.
Ground and pound is just absolutely nasty. Also, so good at conserving his energy.
See him over 5 rounds. He did have a main event go away.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful sweep. Lopes back to his feet the right way, but look, that leg is extended. Not much time. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's got a knee bar.
Just 3 months after making his UFC debut, Lopes was back in the mix, facing Gavin Tucker in a high-stakes clash in Tennessee. Tucker opened fire with a nasty blow to Lopes' family jewels that paused the action. Once the fight resumed, Tucker wasted no time shooting for a takedown, but Lopes had other plans as he locked up a lightning-fast triangle choke. Tucker initially had space to breathe, but Lopes methodically tightened his grip, yanking Tucker's arm to threaten an armbar. Desperate to avoid a devastating crank, Tucker shifted closer, and that proved to be a fatal mistake as Lopes rolled into a mounted triangle and cranked the pressure that ultimately forced a tap. Not only did Lopes secure the biggest victory of his career, but he also walked away with a shiny Performance of the Night bonus, which he topped in his very next fight against Pat Sabatini. The fight mirrored the rapid-fire pace of Lopes' early victories, with both fighters cautiously trading punches in the opening minute. In the second minute, the tide turned in Lopes' favor, as he masterfully stuffed a takedown attempt and unleashed a thunderous uppercut that sent Sabatini reeling. Staggering backward, Sabatini crashed into the cage before collapsing to the canvas. Lopes wasted no time, pouncing on his opponent and raining down heavy shots until the referee stepped in and stopped the massacre. Riding high on 2 consecutive finishes and a pair of Performance of the Night bonuses, Lopes earned a dream gig on the historic UFC 300 card, where he faced the hard-hitting Sadiq Yusuf. From the opening bell, Lopes came out like a house on fire, cracking Yusuf with a haymaker that sent him crashing to the canvas. Yusuf quickly clawed his way back to his feet, but Lopes swarmed him with punches in bunches that dropped Yusuf again. This time, Lopes wasted no opportunity as he climbed to the back, locked in the mount, and unleashed a torrent of hammer fists that forced the referee to intervene. Riding the momentum of 3 electrifying first-round finishes, Lopes found himself on the cusp of a career-defining clash against former title challenger Brian Ortega at UFC 303. However, fate had other plans, as Ortega was forced to withdraw due to illness. The UFC then brought in another experienced campaigner in the shape of Dan Ige, who promised to give Lopes a serious run for his money. Lopes came out strong with a hailstorm of strikes and an imposing grappling game that kept Ige on the back foot for the first 2 rounds. But true to his reputation, Ige stormed back with a flurry of punches that tested Lopes's grit and endurance in the final round. Unfortunately, it was too little and too late for Ige, as Lopes managed to win by a decision.
I said give weight to Lopes. And
Lopes and Ortega eventually clashed at UFC 306 in a battle of will and skill, with both fighters pushing their limits. Lopes came out firing on all cylinders, landing a big overhand right and left hook that rocked Ortega early. The Brazilian then quickly took Ortega down, but couldn't finish him. Lopes kept the pressure on, opening a cut over Ortega's eye while dishing out heavy strikes. In the second round, Ortega fought back by fighting fire with fire until he was rocked with a massive left hook for the second time. The former title challenger was bruised and battered, but he somehow survived until the end, only to lose by a lopsided decision.
No una vez, sino 2 ocasiones seguidas. Muy buen trabajo.
Y lo toca, ya lo tocó. Aquí viene, va por su segunda victoria Lopes. Está segunda y esto termina rápidamente. Y en el primer asalto se derivan 2 victorias de manera consecutiva para Diego Lopes. Así brilla en el UFC 295.
Qué impresionante victoria la que se anota Diego Lopes y parece un año soñado.
With 5 straight wins, Diego Lopes is on the verge of a UFC featherweight title shot, but he might need 1 or 2 more victories before that chance comes. The big question now is, does he have what it takes to claim the top spot? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.